Hi, I'm LadyJenevia. I'm done with my exams, I'm done with the quarter, and I've now seen House of Gucci 11 times. Is that last bit of information in any way relevant to the amount of time I now have to work on these last few Dickinson reviews? No, but I'm sharing it anyway, just as Ridley Scott has shared his exquisite artistry with me this year. The Last Duel is just a few days away from being released on physical media, and I am ready to go to whatever store I need to visit in order to procure my copy. Today's video is about Dickinson Season 3, Episode 9, entitled Grief is a Mouse. Doing spoiler-free reviews for these final two episodes is challenging, to say the least. Overall, it's been difficult for me to know how to preview a lot of these episodes, considering how many things have been leaked prematurely, even when there has been a do not reveal list that explicitly states numerous plot details that have been getting revealed by the cast, the crew, the promotional material. Yeah, I'm looking at you, trailer editors that stuck a shot of the car in there so everyone would know about the time traveling ahead of the episode airing. Truly, I am tired. Episode 9 has 3 do not reveal points, and when you hear what they are next week after the episode airs, oof. Or as Jared Leto would say in House of Gucci, boof. First things first, a song preview. Today's song preview is Inside Out by Grouplove. As always, I will link that song in the description box, so you will be free to go give it a listen if you have not already done so. Thematically, this episode is one of reconciliation. I won't elaborate, obviously, though I'm sure many of you will already have your ideas in mind about what's supposed to be reconciled in this episode. If you are a viewer that wants me to speak more in depth about the season 3 arc of Emmy Sue as a couple, I will remind all of you that I will be putting more details of my impression of their season material and some of the reactions to that material in a separate video that I will be posting after episode 10 has aired, so as to ensure that I don't have to tiptoe around any spoilers anymore. One of the Dickinson parents has some nice material in this episode that I think proves to be a much better example of how to effectively use those characters for the deeper themes the show likes to explore than that completely unnecessary, in my opinion, subplot of the Dickinson parents smoking. I feel like one of the recurring patterns I've observed in the execution of Dickinson's season 3 material and some of the more negative responses can often be boiled down to Dickinson being a show with a 30-minute runtime per episode, and the writing tends to be more ambitious, so they like to address many things. I can respect the ambition, but for some of the fans who are more fixated on certain storylines than others, they end up dissatisfied with what percentage of the runtime is designated to their preferred storylines. For me as a viewer, I like to see the variety, and I think the Dickinson parents are important to the larger stories being told on the show, because you have these younger characters who are seeking to grow and evolve personally and ideologically compared to what they and we as the audience see as the archaic social norms that impact their quality of life. That's why I'm not someone who would go so far as to the Dickinson parents should be cut from the show altogether. I just think you need to use their screen time more effectively so that you're making the points that you want to make. The whole smoking thing gave off the vibe like it was just an excuse to let the audience know some obscure trivia about what else Emily Dickinson in real life was growing in her greenhouse. I get that when you're geeking out about something, you get excited about obscure trivia and you want to include a lot of those details for the audience to also learn what it is that you've learned. But given the short runtime and in all likelihood the lower amount of patience I had when working working on those reviews because I had coursework to do simultaneously. The end result was just that I didn't end up caring for that storyline. Episode 9, for actually both Dickinson parents, now that I think about it, gives me things to write down in my notes that I can then discuss that are thematically, historically, and socio-politically interesting. They spark that conversation, which really helps me out as both a viewer and a reviewer of the series. There is something I've been wanting to see all season that finally happens in this episode that I'm really looking forward to celebrating after the episode airs. Overall, I don't think episode 9 or episode 10 are anywhere near as dramatic of an episode as episode 8 was, which is an interesting choice when you think about the general tendencies of structuring a story arc in fiction. A lot of times, especially in films, you will have this rising action until you hit your climax of the story, and then you will have a bit of peaceful wrapping up and resolution of various points of the story. But it feels like Dickinson did things a bit different, partially because it's a television series and not a film, partially because it's the final season and maybe they don't want to rush the way that they tie up certain loose ends or wrap up certain character arcs, but also it's probably partially because of the very particular themes they have honed in on addressing throughout this season. You had this larger action sequence of Henry and his students fighting on the battlefield and Emily being there to witness the conflict, as well as Emily having these many falling outs with multiple members of her closest social circle. It's bound to take time to resolve those issues, and unless you're going to glamorize war, which a lot of Hollywood fiction does tend to do because the government pumps a lot of money into Hollywood to fund that propaganda to uphold the military-industrial complex, you need to not have that action be the high point of your seasonal arcs. I know that I've often been mixed in my feedback about the way that Dickinson season 3 has addressed the topic of war in the show's writing. Sometimes I've liked what they've done and other times less so, but I do appreciate that it has provided me with the opportunity to remind the people who do watch these reviews to be more cognizant of the military-industrial complex. I will definitely have more things to say about certain political things and war things in the writing when I do my spoiler review of episode 9. I'd like to think that a lot of fans will enjoy episode 9 when it airs, since a lot of people seem to have been hyping up the episode and counting down to it on the Bird app since more or less the very beginning of this season. I'm kind of anxious about having to write about episode 10 for reasons I will not get into right now. That is very obviously a conversation for another day. I don't know how much I've been able to effectively preview episode 9 and if this has been enough for the audience, but hopefully some of you got something out of watching this video. Don't forget to watch my interview with Ilda Mason from Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, which will also be out in the cinemas by the time I post this video. If you've not already seen House of Gucci, honestly, what are you waiting for? We have no time to waste. It will be gone before you know it, because the market has viciously turned against anything that is not an insufferably commercial IP project. Are we in the worst timeline? Perhaps. I would like to be in the timeline where we as a society collectively understand that Grease 2 is the superior Grease film, and yet that's just not the timeline we find ourselves living in. It's so disappointing. Anyway, I will see you all in the next one. Bye.